Hi, I'm Richard Simmons. We all know the importance of eating right and exercising, but often we just can't seem to get it done. Those of us who struggle every day know it's not just about the weight. There's something else, something that sets us up for failure. For over 30 years, I've been traveling the country, teaching classes, and more importantly, listening to all of you. And I think I've figured it out. We need to begin to love ourselves. We need to let go of the burdens that cause us to cling to this weight. Loving yourself is one of the most important things in the world. And in this program, I outline my 6 steps to love yourself and win. Come on, you know you're worth it. Hi, I'm Richard Simmons, and I'd like to speak with you about an alarming problem facing Americans of every age, the problem of being overweight. Today, there are more overweight, obese, and inactive people in our country than at any other time in history. Each and every year, over 250,000 Americans die of obesity-related conditions. Did you know that obesity will soon surpass tobacco use as the most preventable health epidemic of the 21st century? The most recent data reports that 62% of American women and 67% of American men are overweight. 33% are described as being obese. It is estimated that an astonishing 1/2 of the American adult population is diabetic or pre-diabetic. Unfortunately, even the youngest members of our society have been affected. Since the early 1980s, the percentage of overweight children between ages 6 and 11 have nearly doubled, and the percentage of overweight adolescents has nearly tripled. And according to new research, even infants are 59% more likely to be overweight today than just 2 decades ago. This is the state of our nation today. We're facing an epidemic that can rob us of our health and our lives. This makes me very sad. You see, I've struggled with my weight for so many years, so I know how it feels. Those of us who have struggled and continue to struggle with the weight problem know that it's not just about the weight. It's about so much more. It's about loving yourself and getting to a place where you can once and for all be free of the demons and burdens that help you cling to the weight. This is precisely why I've chosen to call my program Love Yourself and Win. When you can love and be happy with you, the world is a much happier place too. For the last 36 years, I have maintained a healthy weight and I've lived a happy life. And now I'm going to show you how you can do it too. I want you to change your life for the better. I want you and your family to be healthy and happy. So please join me and learn to love yourself more and win. Thank you. And welcome to my new show, Love Yourself and Win. You know, for over 30 years, I've been traveling around the United States teaching classes, all different kinds of classes. I've taught classes about nutrition, how people should eat better. I've taught classes to people about their self-esteem, classes about exercise, classes about motivation. And with all the millions of emails and letters that I have written and talked to people, all the cities and countries I've been to exercising, so many people just haven't been able to lose the weight, to keep it off, to believe in themselves, and to go further and get their goals and dreams. And after all these 30 years, I think I figured out why. People don't love themselves. If you don't love you, you have no self-worth. If you don't love you, you're not going to get up early in the morning and exercise. You're not going to do all the things that someone should do to take great care of themselves if you don't love you. Loving you is the most important thing in the world. And for a long time, I didn't love me. And I was the first to put me down. There are 6 steps that you must climb. And you know what? I climbed them. I took it slow. I climbed them. I learned about them. And I got to the top. And today, after this show, you will go to the top with me, and you will not believe the amazing view. The first step that you must climb, and everyone must climb it, is this one. Think positive. Getting up in the morning and being happy and thinking good thoughts. In the daytime, being positive about what you're doing, being positive about your life. Now, I have a friend named Dana Miller. Dana was very negative. She ate her way up to 230 pounds. And then one day, she began to think positive. Dana Miller has now lost 110 pounds and has kept the weight off by thinking positive for 3 years. Please welcome Dana Miller. Come sit down. When you're negative, like you said, everything looks gray and black.
Looks gray and black, and you can't see through that fog. It's like a fog. You can't see through it, can't see around it, can't see under it, and so it's a wall, and it just cuts you off from everything.
But can you believe you're sitting here now? You were 230 pounds. You've lost 110 pounds. How did you really turn it all around? I mean, a lot of people are saying, how? I feel just like you, Dana. How do I turn my negativity around?
You have to take it a little degree at a time, but you have to be willing to take that time and turn it around and do it step by step. Each step, I think, almost has its own steps. And if you're willing to do that and to follow it and to stick with it, then, you know, you feel better, you feel lighter physically and emotionally, and that also spirals and snowballs into something more positive.
What do you think of yourself now?
I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. I think in the back of my mind, I always knew that I could do it. It was just a matter of when, and the time was right.
Over the years, I've seen you blossom, and I am very honored to know you, Dana Miller.
Thank you. I'm very honored to know you as well, and I love you.
Dana Miller. So now you see how thinking positive, that very first step, is such an important step for you to climb. You're ready for the second step. Practice patience. Laura Silverman was not a very patient person. But when she learned to be patient about her dreams and her goals, she has lost 209 pounds. Please welcome Laura Silverman. How did you find patience?
I have to be honest, it's tough. I get very frustrated, but there's a difference between frustration and lacking patience. I'll go through motions where I'll panic. I mean, recently I was put on some medications that's well known for socking weight on, and the first thing I did was absolutely freak out. In fact, I think I sent you an email about it. And then I've learned over time that it's okay to panic, it's okay to get frustrated, but then you start thinking about it. Think the little tiny steps you can do that are achievable. Like, for instance, I've been very sick recently. Now, my first step was, can I walk to the front door? Can I walk to the mailbox? Over time, it snowballs, and it doesn't just stop with the weight loss either. It snowballs into your entire life. I mean, there are things that I'm patient about, and I'm patient with people now. I've fixed so many things in other aspects of my life because of what I've learned through your weight loss program.
I saw a woman who didn't care about the way she dressed and the way she looked. Matter of fact, she didn't care very much for herself.
That's true.
And as I sit here and look in your eyes now, Miss Laura Silverman, your patience has paid off. Laura Silverman, everybody. So you can see, if you slow down and you take your time and you have patience, you'll be ready for step number 3. Be forgiving. As you can see, forgiveness is very hard, but there's someone else here who, through a process of taking better care of herself, began to find step 3, be forgiving. Please welcome Diane Cummings. Tell us about the third step, Diane, of being forgiving.
Well, for me, what I discovered was that forgiveness is a choice. And it's a choice that you have to make to look past the failures and imperfections of people and see the good in them. And I had always been very good at doing that for other people. And what I discovered was I had not been doing it for myself. And as a goal-oriented person, it felt like a big failure. And each failure just went one on top of the other. And then I just became a big failure in my own eyes. And it was very difficult for me to deal with that. And so I ate.
You always said you had an easier time forgiving others. Mm-hmm. How did you go on the journey to finally start forgiving yourself for things?
I would wake up one day after taking a class or after eating well the day before, and I'd wake up that next morning and go, wow, I feel really great. And just the positiveness, I would think, well, maybe I'm not all so bad. Maybe I'm not a failure. I succeeded yesterday, because it became a cumulative failure for me. Mm-hmm. So I started focusing on one day at a time, one step at a time, and then those successes added up, and they mounted and they overcame all my failures.
But there are many people who come to the studio who just think you're the greatest, and they watch you when you exercise, and they watch your energy. And I'd just like to thank you for instilling so much love and being such a good example to all the people at my studio.
It's my privilege.
Diane Cummings. When you forgive others and you forgive yourself, it's like these big weights have come off your shoulders. Step 4 is shed the past. I have a friend, a gentleman here, who began his journey at 245 pounds. He started taking better care of himself. He's lost 55 pounds, but I'd love him to tell you his story. Please welcome John Hoover. John, we're talking about the past.
I've been heavy all my life. As a child, I can remember being called names by other kids in school, and obviously that hurt a great deal. Shedding past loves, I had a very dear friend. I watched him die of cancer. 2 weeks later, my mother died. And I had quit smoking a little bit before my friend died. So this all coupled with together, I just started eating more, and I got up to 245, close to 250. And I got to the point where I said, I can't do this anymore.
The past also, besides the eating, the past helped you focus on some other bad habits.
Absolutely.
You smoked a lot.
I smoked heavily for 34 years.
And drinking.
I drank quite a bit, yeah, and particularly after my mother died, I felt very guilty about the fact that she died and I was not there. She died back in Kansas. Uh-huh. And so I drank quite heavily. And then during Christmas vacation of 2001 is when it really hit me the most, and I just, for 2 weeks, I was drunk every night. Every night I was drunk. And then on New Year's Day of 2002 is when I decided that I had to start exercising, so I started walking half an hour a day. I had to stop eating everything in sight. And, you know, I took it from there. I mean, I have some regrets. I mean, you know, smoking for 32 years you can't be happy about. Mm-hmm. But what I have changed in my life has just, I'm totally a new man.
I think you found, and this is hard to do, you found peace in your
absolutely.
past.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm much more at peace with myself in my present. And I look forward to a future of, I'm going to be here for a while. I'm not, the smoking and the overeating are not going to kill me just yet.
John Hoover, everybody. Is everyone here ready to climb another step? Yes. Are you? Yes. You have to believe in yourself every moment of every day. And that's what step 5's about. Have faith. Elijah Jones wrote me a letter when I had the Richard Simmons show in 1982. He wrote me a letter and said, I have faith in me, and because of my faith in me and a higher power, I have lost 300 pounds. He is with us today. Please welcome Elijah Jones. How did you find the faith, Elijah? You know, there's so many people who weigh 300, 400. You got to almost 500 pounds. How does someone even begin to pick up the pieces of their lives?
For me, I had been obese, like I said, all of my life. And then one year around the holidays, Christmas 1978, I had been out shopping for a bunch of my friends and relatives, and I bought all these great clothes. And I come back to the house and start wrapping these presents, and I'm buying sweaters that fit this cousin and a shirt that fits that relative. And at the same time, I could not buy anything for myself off the rack in the store. And I reached the point where I realized, I thought about my life. I sat in my room wrapping those gifts and realized that all the problems in my life were centered around the fact that I was obese. I couldn't find a good job. I couldn't buy clothes that I like. I'd never been in a relationship. How was it going to end?
But what did you do to turn it around? How did you find step number 5, the two kind of faiths? Because I know that you now believe in yourself with your whole heart and soul.
100%.
And you also believe in a higher power. Tell us about that.
That night that I was wrapping those gifts and I got so upset with myself and cried, I made up in my mind, and I cannot tell you where it came from, but it had to come from faith. I said, not starting next week, not starting Monday, because everybody starts their diet on Monday, but starting tonight, I am going to do something about this. I am going to lose this weight. And when I woke up the next morning, Richard, it was there. I felt that spirit of faith was in me to win this fight.
And you did win it.
And I won it.
Not only have you lost 300 pounds, Elijah Jones, but you've kept it off for 25 years.
And thank you.
Thank you. This step is all about knowing how loved you are. Step number 6 is count your blessings. There's a lady here who didn't count her blessings. She did other things with her life, but not her blessings. At 290 pounds, Heidi Evans couldn't climb that step. Then she worked on it. She worked on thinking about her life and how loved she was. Heidi Evans doesn't weigh 290 because she's now lost 90 pounds. Please welcome Heidi. How did you learn to count all the wonderful blessings that I know you have in your life?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing was realizing that me not counting them was getting me nowhere. It was just making me sadder and sadder and sadder. And what I realized is that, you know, when I started to really look at the great stuff I had in my life, then I was in this place of gratitude. And then more stuff started coming because I was thankful for what I already had. It's like if you don't thank someone for giving you a present, why would they give you any more presents? So I started really realizing, wow, you know, maybe I am at 290, but I can walk. And I have air in my lungs and my heart is beating, and, you know, at least I can start there. So, and then as I started to count them, they kept getting, I don't know, I just got more appreciative. I think that's a really good word.
That is a good
Yeah.
word. What are your blessings right now, Heidi?
I have a wonderful husband who is just incredibly supportive. And I love me, finally, after all these years. I'm very proud to say that I can finally come to that place where, and because I do that, I can love me, I can share that with other people. I can't give from an empty pot, but I can give as long as I keep filling myself up with the things that nourish me, which is really moving and being grateful, and it is food, but it's healthy food now. Then I can give to other people, and I can motivate and inspire and let other people know there's hope.
When I count my blessings, I count you and your friendship as one of them. You light up my studio, and you certainly light up my life. You've lost 90 pounds, and I know you're going to go all the way. Heidi Evans, everybody. Today, we have climbed 6 steps. 6 steps. 6 steps that can change your life. And oh, when you get to the top of the staircase, wait till you see the view. You will look down and you will see all that you have accomplished, and you have accomplished a great deal. And the most important thing you accomplished is that you believed in yourself enough to give yourself another chance and find out what's inside of you. When you climb these steps, all of them, no matter how much weight you have to lose, no matter what's happening in your life, you will be filled with so much self-worth and self-love. At the top of Count Your Blessings, at the top of the staircase, is a mirror, a full-length mirror. And there you'll stand, and you will look at yourself in the mirror. And you'll finally say, I love me. And that's what I did. I climbed these stairs, and I found my self-love and my self-worth. And if you climb these stairs, if you think about them every day, if you focus, have faith in you, be forgiving, be patient, you too will feel like a winner. And welcome back to my show, Love Yourself and Win. Before we talk about exercise, I'd like to talk about food. I am a compulsive eater. I love food. I love it hot. I love it cold. I love food on other people's plates. I have seen children with candy that I came this close to taking. My parents were very thin, but I was raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, the capital of food. I mean, you know, usually a child comes out with words like, Mommy, Daddy. My first word was buffet. Everyone has a different way of making their food accountable. And first, I started writing things down in a journal. Writing everything I ate, everything I drank for every meal. And then I created something that millions of people use, and it's called the Food Mover. It just has the 6 food groups, and you press down when you eat that food group, and this gives you accountability, because that's what it's all about. We eat mindlessly. You know, no matter what time of the day. How many times have you stood in front of the refrigerator when you weren't even hungry just to see if there was something in there? In all of the years I've been dieting and abusing my body, it's all about what you eat and how much of that food that you eat. I'd like to introduce 2 of my friends right now. They're both nurses, Miss Kathy Friend and Miss Benny Anderson. Hey, baby. Hey, sweetie. I saw your faces when I was talking about my love for food. Kathy, did you relate?
Oh, absolutely. I came from a very loving family, but my father ate because that's something you needed to do to live. My mother, on the other hand, was very loving and very passionate about food. And so in my household, food and love were the same word. And that's how I grew up. And so when I found myself at 350 pounds and I kept trying to lose weight and trying to lose weight, the thought of having to give up foods that I loved meant giving up love. And I couldn't find a way to do it, and I couldn't imagine giving them up. This gave me a way to do that. Not to give them up, but to limit what I ate, to eat them in a healthier way, so I still was able to enjoy foods that I liked, but not eat so much of them.
Vinny, how did the Food Mover help you lose 93 pounds, Vinny?
Well, Kathy mentioned portion control. It taught me that. Who knew that a serving of spaghetti was a half a cup? And who knew what a half a cup of spaghetti looked like on a plate? I mean, I realized, like Kathy, I was eating like spaghetti for 8 people at one time. The other thing it taught me was planning. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I learned to plan my meals, writing them down, being accountable, and writing everything down. I may not, well, I am not always perfect. I stray. You know how far I stray sometimes. But I write it down, and I'll try to think, why did I do that? What was going on that caused me to do that? And I'll think about it. But then I go back, and I start over.
Vinny, what would happen if you stopped portioning out your food and stopped planning your meals?
For a while, not much. But after a little while, I'd slip here, and I'd slip there. And the big thing that would happen is that I wouldn't start over. I'd quit. I've got little posters all over my house, and one of them says, if you don't quit, you can't fail. And I believe that with all my heart, and that's the big key for me, is not quitting.
What medical problems have been alleviated from your system since you've been portioning your food and you've lost 120 pounds?
Right. I had very severe sleep apnea and had to wear a mask for 3 years. And so that has gone. I have not worn that for many years now. I had very high blood pressure, took medicine, that's gone. I no longer take medicine for that. You know, back and knee problems, that as a nurse I still have. It sort of comes with the territory. They give you a diploma and your back and knee problems, you know, it comes with it. But those are worse the more weight that I carry, and so all of that would come back.
Thank you, Vinny. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Richard.
And to show you again how accountability is so important, I'm going to bring up 2 more incredible success stories. I'd first like to bring up Rita Reimers, and you've met Dana Miller before. She's coming back up. Come on, Rita. Come on, Dana. We're talking about accountability. We're talking about portions. We're talking about that you 2 ladies have been very successful with this. Rita, I have a picture of you that we took when you first came to Los Angeles.
Right.
And you were in a denim outfit at 198 pounds,
Right.
2 pounds shy of 200.
I probably was 200. When I hit 198, I wouldn't get on the scale anymore.
A lot of us do that.
Yeah.
We just keep on not looking at the numbers. Not 198 anymore. You've lost 40 pounds. 40 pounds is a lot of weight on you.
It is, and my hips hurt. I just would wake up in the morning, I could barely get out of bed, you know, and I'm not all that old. I felt like I was 70 years old. I couldn't move, and my life was in a pretty bad state, and I said, I have to do something about it, and I knew it was the food. I had done your Deal Meal a while back, and I had been very successful with that, and you had your Food Mover out at that point. And I said, well, let me try that and see if that will help me.
What are the things you learn most about being accountable with your portions?
Well,
that's just it, is being honest with myself about what have I had for breakfast and lunch? What do I really have left for dinner when I get to the end of the day? If I've already eaten my 5 starches, I have to be honest with myself and say, okay, well, then I just need to have a salad and maybe a little chicken on my salad and forget about having more starch. I've eaten it for that day.
Because, you know, we all go home at night, and so many people, I think, can understand this. We go home after a long day work, and what is dinner? It's our reward.
Exactly.
We think we deserve it. Did you feel that way, Dana?
Oh, absolutely. But for me, every meal was a reward, especially on the weekends was a treat for me.
What did the Food Mover teach you about food?
Oh my gosh, it put everything into perspective. I mean, when I first opened it up and looked at the portion sizes, it made me realize how much I was eating. My gosh, I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. It put everything into perspective for me.
Rita, how could someone who has had a lot of false starts, how do they begin today, this very day, to get focused on their eating more?
Well, you have to start from where you are. Forget about those other times. This is brand new start all over again. Just pick up the Food Mover or whatever you're going to use and really pay attention to what you're doing. I think the key is to pay attention and know that you're worth whatever effort it takes to make the changes in your lifestyle that you have to make.
Dana, you know there's people watching, and I think a lot of them are fearful that they're going to not stay on the program. They're afraid of doing that start.
Sure, absolutely.
What's your advice?
Well, in the end, it's up to you, and it's up to you to be accountable for your actions. No one else can do it for you. No one else can make you do it. You have to do it yourself, and this is your chance to be accountable to yourself and do it, and you know, keep track of what you're doing, and it gives you all the tools you need to do that, and it's a learning experience.
Rita, 40 pounds, Dana, 110. You both have learned how to eat. It's not just the eating. The eating is half of it. The other half is moving. Moving whatever you can move. At certain weights, there's not too much you can do. But you just move, whether it's in a chair or standing up for 5 minutes. I'd like to introduce you to 2 people that hated exercise as much as me, but they've turned their whole life around by climbing the steps and taking better care of themselves. Please welcome Jim and Gina Crome. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you, Gina. Hey, Gina. Mwah, come sit down. Who started to love exercise first? You, Gina, or you, Jim?
I think it was Gina.
Yeah?
Yeah, Gina decided at one point in our lives that she wanted to pursue losing the weight. It wasn't being comfortable for her, and so we went after the exercise and watching our food.
You know, Jim, you've lost 90 pounds now, and your incredible wife has lost 172 pounds. You know, I have to say, Gina, when you came to my studio and you came to be on my radio show and you took class, your body doesn't look like you've ever needed to lose weight. What has exercise meant to you?
It's been a very, very important part of not just losing, but of maintaining, because I've realized that maintaining is just as important of a piece as the losing was.
Do you think you would have lost this much weight, Jim, without exercise?
No, you can only do so much with watching what you're eating and controlling your eating. You've got to be able to move. And, you know, life is moving, so it's just part of it. You need to move and you need to take that extra step in order to lose the weight.
You know, there's a lot of couples, and one tries to lose the weight and exercise, and one is a little rebel and doesn't want to do it. You all decided to do this as a couple.
Yes.
I don't think that it could have worked any other way. It's too difficult for one person to be working in one direction and not having the support of the other.
How did you learn to love exercise?
You know, there are some days, quite honestly, I don't wake up and say, oh, goody, I get to exercise today. You know, there are some days I feel lazy and don't want to, but you may not like to get up in the morning and brush your teeth, but it's something that you have to do to take care of yourself. And so exercise is that for me.
How about for you, Jim?
It improves your life, and that's where I think a couple is really important, because one day one person's going to get up and not want to, and the other one's going to want to go out and exercise, so you keep each other going.
How does a couple begin, after loving themselves, to start loving to work out?
I know couples that I've talked to, they say, you know, when you get home from work, the husband sits on the couch, turns on the TV, the wife does this, they go off and do this. If you start incorporating the exercise and the walking together, now it's, you've got time where it's just you're focused on each other and on yourselves. So.
One last question, Gina. We know what exercise does for our bodies. Mm-hmm. Tell me what the exercise did for up here.
You really do have to love yourself. And in that, I believe, is the basis. That's the foundation of everything else you build on. If you don't love yourself, it's very, very difficult to be able to continue with your program on and put that same level of energy into your program to lose weight.
Amazing stories, amazing weight losses, and two amazing people. A nice hand for Jim and Gina. We began this show with steps. To think positive, to practice patience, to be forgiving of yourself and others, to shed the past, even if it's painful to shed, to have faith in you and the things you do, and to count your blessings. You get to the top, and then you start to love yourself more. You start to appreciate yourself more. You start to give yourself compliments and pat yourself on the back. You feel so good about yourself that you don't ever want this feeling to stop. And that's why it can't. Every day you have to climb these 6 steps, because when you go to sleep, all of this goes to sleep with you. It all goes to sleep. And when you open your eyes in the morning, these are the 6 steps that you have to climb. And what will that get you? It'll get you peace. It'll get you self-worth. It will give you love. Today you heard some incredible stories. Stories of people who didn't believe in themselves, who never climbed these steps. And you saw what they did. And if they can do this, if they can climb these steps all the way up and love themselves more, there is not a reason in the world that everyone here can't do it. So I want you to hold on. I want you to hold on to that hope on a rope. I'm giving you that hope, and I'm handing you this rope. I say something that I've said for over 30 years. And the phrase is, never give up. Even at your darkest times, look for the rainbow. Even when you think the doors and windows of your life are closed, by climbing these steps, you open them and give yourself another chance. So all I can say to you from the bottom of my heart is to love yourself unconditionally every moment of every day. And I want for you to always be a winner. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, viewers, for coming along with me and discovering your self-esteem and self-worth. Once you climb the 6 steps, you will lose weight and be successful at reaching your goals. I want to thank PBS for believing in me and allowing me to share my message with you about having a healthy, fit lifestyle. I hope the show has touched you. I hope it's made you think and has made a difference in your life. I wish you health and happiness. Goodbye.